Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Atomic Salt Live Show. This is the weekly live show where we're going to discuss everything in the tabletop hobby world. I am Wild Chevy, and I am joined by my buddy, Casey. Casey, how are you this week?
Aloha, Alan. I think our connection just went sideways.
Oh,
So let me see. I'm pointing some negatively charged tachyons at it, trying to fix it up here.
check the flux capacitor.
So we'll see if it gets better. I blame teenagers.
So, how are you this week?
You know, I'm doing really good. Doing really good. Yourself? You have some big news. Should we let everybody know?
Yeah, I just got a whole bunch of troll bloods.
No. We talked about that before. What other news is?
Oh, yeah,
Dun, 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 dun.
that's a pomp and circumstance. Yes, I finally, after many grudging nights of sleepless weeks, I have walked for my bachelor's in business administration and marketing.
I like to tease you, but congratulations, sir. You did an excellent job. We're all very proud of you.
Well, thank you.
But more importantly, what have you done this week in hobby?
Yes, the important thing. Yes, like I said, I did pick up some Trollwoods. After buying the box last week, I found the guy who was selling off all his unpainted used stuff for a good deal. For I got everything in a case for $300. So
How much stuff did you get?
I probably got close maybe to $500 worth of stuff.
Wow, that's really great. So you are committed now in this game. So
Yes, indeed, I am. What else? Didn't do any playing this week because it was finals and graduation stuff. But I did get my box from the folks at Arena Rex. And here we have one of the first miniatures. All it's resin out of the box. This is Gaius Pallidus. Let me pull up a better photo. But yeah, that's from Arena Rex. That's why everything is kind of goofy in the background because I've finally been able to pull out my hobby area. So there's a better photo of him. Gaius Pallidus. This is going to be one of those
very nice
lines.
That is just some amazing.
Oh yeah, this is. I'm probably not going to play the game, but the miniatures look amazing.
Yeah. So like, what's going on there with the right side of his arm?
He's like got some demonic invasion going on. He's got a horn growing out of his left side of his head. It looks like he was cut from shoulder to nipple, and some demonic flame or growth is coming out of him.
So I take it he's not really one of the good guys.
And no, I think in this game there is no good or bad guys. It's all for the crowd, as gladiator combat should be.
All right. Well, I'm really excited to see how you get them all painted up. I think it'll look cool.
I think I'm gonna first butcher some painting on Space Marines, get my muscle memory back.
Ah, Space Marines. It's like the girlfriend that you always go back to. You know, she may not be the most beautiful, but she's good enough. She may not be the best, but she's good enough. You always come back to her, don't you?
Yes, indeed. So what have you done this week, Mr. Casey?
Well, speaking of Space Marines, I actually went toe-to-toe in a 2,000-point game. We were using one of our friends who went to LVO. We finally got around to playing our LVO style game. Let me show you here just a little bit of what we played. I got a few pictures. So you may have seen this army just a little bit before. He's actually quite a few pictures got taken of his stuff because it's actually very, very pretty.
Yeah, that's very.
But we'll get some more close-up pictures here in a little bit. But this was a full 2,000-point drop list of Blood Angels. A lot of minimum-sized squads. We had a Dreadnought in there. We had Dante with some Death Company rolling around. Really just all sorts of terrifying. A lot of minimum squads, lots of Flamers, Meltas, just all the nastiness.
That looks pretty evil. What did you bring to counter
that? You know what? This was an LVO style list, so you really needed to have kind of a theme behind it. And my theme was the idea of like a forced recon type squad with my Tau. So I brought a lot of units that could infiltrate, like stealth suits. We had Pathfinders, a lot of skimmers. All my troops had fast transports that they were rolling around in. So the idea behind it was to be a very fast, a very maneuverable type army, which is really what I needed because, and I knew this was the advantage going into it. Drop pod armies have an insane amount of mobility right off the bat, but at the same time, once they come down, they're fairly static.
So it's very alpha strike. If they don't get you those first 2 turns, you can recover and beat them up.
Correct. So what I did was, as I mentioned, I had stealth suits. And the beautiful thing about infiltrating against an army that doesn't actually deploy on the board, it means you can go anywhere you want. So I had all of my guys deployed very advantageously. And I actually went ahead and I won the roll off and I let him go first, just because I didn't want to waste a turn of, not having anything to shoot. And we were playing a maelstrom mission, so we had 6 objectives on the board. This was the type of mission where you could actually steal your opponent's objectives if it was like controlling an objective point. So say I had control objective 2, and he was on top of objective 2 at the end of his turn, he could take it away from me for a point. So what we did was I came up with a counterpunch strategy. I had a Farsight bomb and I had a lot of piranhas. So I kept those guys in reserve. And interestingly enough, all of his pods came down in turn 2. So he was completely on the board. And it was terrifying. So I, on the flip side, decided to bring in all of my stuff in turn 2. So we got right to work. Where you're looking at kind of my side of the board edge, and essentially what I did was I came up with a counter punch to his punch. So I had my stealth suits spread way out all over the place, so I really forced his drop pods to spread out as well. So he wasn't really focused in any one area. That way, when my reserves came on, I had a whole bunch of plasma, a whole bunch of fusion guns, and they were really kind of a counter-punch army. And we just started wherever he was weakest and used superior mobility, superior firepower to really just dance around him. That was the theory, at least.
Yeah. And decided practice. So, you had theory, so how was practice?
Practice, it actually worked out fairly well. You can see here a squad of my stealth suits sitting on top of an objective. They managed to pull a dreadnought and a tactical squad with a flamer out, and because I had quite a bit of interceptor in this list, I was actually able to explode his dreadnought the moment it walked out of its pod.
Nice.
Along with a lot of the, and the same with a lot of his heavier weapons that he was, trying to bring against me. I was able to wipe out before he could actually bring them to bear. And including, I was able to quickly deploy my guy back into transports and really shift things around. So I was able to set up kind of mass firepower when and where I needed it. Never try and charge a Tau gun line. It just doesn't work out.
Yeah, you guys got some nasty tricks for that.
Yep. Tau, when they're played, you usually don't see them being the most mobile army, despite the fact that we have a lot of mobility. So it kind of catches people off guard when you actually go ahead and use that mobility, and really try and stretch people out. Despite all my fancy tricks, he did win. It wasn't a blowout. We finished 17-18, and it came down to really who controlled one single objective for one turn. So I'm a big enough man to admit that I screwed up. I could have controlled that objective because it was one of the cards that he had in his hand. And I'm like, oh, control object. And I kept telling myself, I want objective 5. I want objective 5. And I had a unit right next to it. And then I look at all my cards. I'm like, why am I going after objective 5? I don't have objective 5. And so I moved him away. And then immediately in his turn, he's like, well, I take objective 5 because nobody's there. And so I kind of let him have it. But, we both played very hard, very smart, really cagey. So it was neck and neck the whole game. And when you're losing by a 1-point swing, you kind of want to facepalm a little bit. But at the same time, I can't really say that I did anything too wrong.
Now, he's playing Tau, and I know you have Space Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
How about next time you play a list like this against your buddy, would you maybe consider bringing one of the new Night Titans?
What new Night Titans? There's new Night Titans out?
Yes, of course. GW with their constant weeks of new release every week. We got some new Night Titans revealed to us.
Okay. Let's take a look at the new Night Titans. You mean like these guys? Oh, I turned off screen sharing. There we go. Like these guys.
Yes. The awesomeness that is GW. And these are the same kits before, right? Another little bit extra.
Yeah, essentially this is the same Night Titan kit that we all know and love, or know and hate, with, it looks like an extra sprue or two thrown in. We have kind of some new head options and some new weapon options. And they look gorgeous. I don't know about you, but I don't own one yet. I want one. And now that we've gotten this upgrade kit, I'm even more motivated to pick one up. And I think that this green on him just looks sexy.
Yeah, and the cool thing about Night Titans is that they're not specific to chapters or imperial sects. These are fluff-wise. These are the people of the planet. These are their noble classes. So you can paint them up however way you like.
Exactly. I think that this model would actually look great in my Space Wolf colors. Replace the green with gray and all the silver with like a bronzy kind of gold. And I think we're in. On top of that, these guys have some incredibly fun rules too. This giant gauntlet thing actually gives them a throw type attack. So if you were able to destroy a vehicle with a close combat attack, then you immediately get to pick it up and throw it. So, and the tougher the vehicle is, the bigger damage the hit causes. So, but I just think that this thing is amazing. Then our big gun here is a Strength 7 AP3 Assault 12 gun on a model that's Ballistic Skill 4.
Yeah, that's going to kill some Space Marines pretty badly.
Yeah, amongst, we have some other great options for shooting. So I like how, because what we saw previously with the Knight Paladin and the Knight Errant, whether these were really actually close combat style Titans. Whereas now we're starting to see some more shooting oriented. And I just think that that's amazing. They're just grand. Just grand.
Now, the only problem I see is for those people who bought the original book. Because now you got less, 2 years later, or not even that, we got a brand new book.
Well, Alan.
It is GW, yes, I know.
No, I was about to say, it never pays to be an early adopter. You never want to be the first guy to pick up some brand new technology. The first guy who picked up an iPod, 2 or 3 years later, he was feeling pretty stupid because he had a pretty crappy piece of hardware. If you were one of the first guys to line up for the Microsoft Zune, yeah, that was probably a bad idea too. So anytime something new and cool comes out, you don't want to pick it up immediately. You want to let it mellow for a couple years to see what it does, and this is why. So while it sucks that the codex that you bought has been updated within a year, you should have thought of that. Flame me if you want, but this is what you get for being an early adopter.
No, I think just means that those early adopters are going to come right back in and buy the latest hot.
Yes, they will. Yes, they will. They will whine and they will complain, but at the end of the day, they're going to be fielding one here within the next few weeks. So, but for the rest of us, it's time to break out the magnets because this thing has some amazing weapon options.
Yeah.
And I want to try them all. And I mean, for about the cost of 350 points, I would say that it's fairly well priced for what this thing can do. So for me personally, I think they're great. I want to pick one up. And honestly, this is the model that I might start cutting my airbrushing teeth on.
Oh, that's right. You were debating on airbrush or miniatures last week. So I'm guessing you finally broke down and got an airbrush.
I finally did. You've been using one for a while now. My buddy Darren, who we just saw his Blood Angel army, he used an airbrush extensively for it. Our good friend Angel, he uses an airbrush. If you want to be cool, you got to do what all the cool kids are doing, right?
If you want your painting done faster, use an airbrush.
It's also a great way to get to do nice gradient effects, which I'm really interested in.
Yeah, if you do not want to, well, if it's for tabletop and you're not looking to spend 3 hours just to do wet blending, airbrush is great.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing is even not just like blending or gradients. I hate painting vehicles. Like I really hate painting vehicles. I mean, especially by brush. I mean, even if you get a giant fat brush and you're just slapping it on there, you're still looking at a long time to get a nice solid even coat down. So hopefully an airbrush will be able to save me a bit of time with that.
So what did you get? Come on, let us know.
All right, because everybody's so excited. Ooh, we're going to go do some more screen sharing. You ready?
Boom.
I got the Master Airbrush. Is this a great, expensive, sexy airbrush? No, it is not. But it is cheap. And it's decent. So there I've been doing a lot of research for the last few weeks because this has been on my mind. I should actually say the past few months. And there's really two schools of thought when it comes down to buying an airbrush, especially as a new person. The first school of thought is buy a very nice brush right out of the gate, because you don't want to have to be fighting the airbrush and the quality of the airbrush while trying to learn the new skill. And they suggest things like a Badger Chrome series or some of the more basic Iwata series. And I thought about that. I thought about that a lot. But then there's the other school of thought, which says learn how an airbrush works first and start, get your feet in gradually. Just instead of trying to be a Michelangelo at the very beginning, just start blowing paint on stuff. Understand how an airbrush works. Understand what features are important to you, what you like in an airbrush, what you don't like in an airbrush. And then once you understand what you're actually doing and what you're talking about, then start investing a little bit of money. Because we've all been there where we've, especially in this hobby, where we've sunk some considerable money and then 6 months back, looking back, regretted what we spent. Saying, boy, I wish I would have, tested the waters just a little bit more first before I dropped all this cash. So I'm going the more economical route, and I'm going with a Master Airbrush. They're kind of a cheap Chinese copy. In this case, it's kind of a copy of an Iwata series. So gravity fed, dual action. You see they've got a nice cutout there for a needle stop in the back. Pretty easy to disassemble. This particular kit's going to come with 3 different needles and nozzles, a 0.2, a 0.3, and a 0.5.
Oh, that'd be great when you lose one.
Yep. Or I inevitably break one.
Yep. Just remember, shag carpet and airbrushing don't mix, especially when you're cleaning your airbrush.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the other thing is when I inevitably break this airbrush, like I know I will, the parts are going to be just a little cheaper to replace. In fact, for $30, I'll just buy a whole new airbrush.
True. One other thing I would suggest is, I think it's about $5. You can probably get it at your local hobby store. Is you get a pallet of newsprint. It's just it's the most inexpensive paper that they carry, but it's amazing to practice on and to use as a backdrop. I have it in my airbrush spot. Every time I go out there, like instead of testing on my hand, I'll test it on the palette, and boom, good to go. It looks like an Escher painting, but maybe I'll sell it later once I die.
The work of Alan. Yeah, I'm actually. We're gonna have to have like a little airbrushing session. Teach me how to actually do all of this because online tutorials only get you so far. But compressor-wise, I don't own an air compressor. I figure most of this is going to be happening out of my garage. So I didn't, you can buy like the tiny little airbrushing compressors that are like this big, for, somewhere around $100 to $200. Or you can get a Harbor Freight compressor for $50 and everything else you need. And it's got a big old tank on it too. So your compressor isn't constantly running in the background.
The only difference between those is just the silence factor.
Yep, and I figure I'll be doing this out in my garage, 95% of the time, so noise isn't going to be that much of a problem. And I'll have an air compressor that I can use for other things versus one of those little tiny ones is pretty much only good for airbrushing. So yeah, I'm excited. We've got a Night Titan for me to hopefully start trying out, and then I've got a closet full of myth stuff. I'll start blowing paint on that, and nice about that is that's a bunch of game pieces. So
Hey, and you could finally get those 2 riptides you always wanted.
I've already been looking how to like pre-shade that and doing everything. I have so many plans for this airbrush. So, but at the same time, you got to be aware and you got to be cognizant that an airbrush doesn't immediately make you a better painter. It's just a new tool, so it takes time to learn. There's techniques upon techniques, so it's still gonna look not impressive. Hopefully, I've got enough models to really practice on that I'll be able to start picking things up fairly quickly.
Yeah, and it's all about muscle memory too. You're gonna hand cramp so hard, but you'll enjoy it.
Yeah. Oh man, Alan, I'm an engineer, like holding stuff like this. Like I've had times coming out of college where like my hand wasn't really a hand anymore. It was like a withered, destroyed, just claw, and I would have to like try and paw at the doorknob, to try and get myself into my room. And I remember one time like I'd been writing for 6 hours, like 6 hours, just equations on a board, time and time again, and then walking home, like I was like, man, my hand feels kind of funny, and I was kind of doing this, and then I made a fist, and it just went like literally, like it just locked up. That was the most painful thing. Like I ran home crying like a little girl, and just like started running hot water over my hand to try and loosen up the cramp I had. I didn't actually know a hand could cramp like that, but it can. So,
well, you're gonna feel
good night,
that again.
everybody.
You are gonna feel that again when you start airbrushing, and you're gonna enjoy it.
Hooray! Hooray! But like I said, I'm excited for the new challenge. I think, yeah, it is going to be great. I have a lot of plans for this. So, but speaking of, I mentioned Angel does a lot of airbrushing, and he does all the cool Infinity models. So why don't we talk about all the neat Infinity stuff we've seen this week?
Yeah, all right, let's pull it up. We got some new miniatures, or new release line, or new releases for this month. First, screen share. We got the 45th Highlander rifles for Ariadna.
We've got Highlander, we've got the Saint, we've got Rob Roy, and a crazy Irish dude.
Yep, it's all those cheesy movies that you've watched before, now in miniature form, and they look amazing.
You take that back. Rob Roy was amazing. I will not defend Highlander. Highlander sucks. But we all want it to be awesome. It's like the Conan movies. You will say, "Oh yeah, Conan was amazing. Conan was awesome," and then you start watching Conan, and then you feel a little embarrassed. You're like, I forgot how kind of corny this looks. And then like 20 minutes in, you're like, I want this movie to be better than it really is.
That's when you stop and switch to Red Sonja.
I haven't seen that one. Is it okay?
You'll enjoy that one. Just don't let your wife watch it with you. All right. Next.
So what do these guys do?
Other than being badass,
I don't know.
here we have the mighty Infinity army builder.
Hey, it's working.
Yeah, it works. Except it still, for some odd reason, has it in centimeters, not inches. But yeah, these guys are berserkers with dogged, with a 21 weapon skill and uh, a nice physique and willpower, 14. Pretty cheap, and they will get the job done. They're extremely impetuous, so
And irregular.
yep, they will get in, destroy everything, and hopefully not die in the process.
The interesting thing is so they've got an okay movement. Close combat 21 is great, and like you said, a physique 14 is and whip 14 is really nice.
Also being berserk, that's a add-on to your close combat skill.
Oh, okay. See, I was about to say that assault would have been a really nice skill to have, but berserk contains assault, so there you go. So, and smoke grenades to get them there.
Yep, they'll be chomping at the bit to chomp everything in place. Let's see. Up next, we have the Acrylic Hard, the badass from Pan-Oceania. This one comes with the HMG and a cloak.
And a suit of armor that involves a coat. It's cool. Like, as long as you don't think about it, it's really cool.
Well, the one, it's odd, but I really like it. It says left arm. The shoulder, it's got some extra bits to it. I don't know if it's a targeting relay or what. It almost looks like a claymore on the side there, but he's got some extra bits just to carry that HMG around with him.
Okay, you want me to ruin this model for you?
Go right ahead.
He's got a rage fist going on, but all they did was they just turned it a little bit. Like, I swear, like, the whole model looks perfect, except you can tell, like, it was like the artist was doing a rage fist and then saw, like, how everybody hates rage fist. It was like, oh no, I better, here, look, and I just, like, went from this to that. There you go. Nobody will ever notice the difference. So he's rage fisting while he's walking.
But I will. Let's take a little quick look at his points. He's coming at 2 special weapon costs, 62 points, but he's pretty much badass everywhere else. Multi-spectral visor level 3, BS and close combat 15, and armor 4, 2 wounds. This guy will not go down lightly.
Yeah, the hilarious thing about this guy is he's close combat 15, which is really nice, and he's also got a shock close combat weapon. You are never going to use either one of those things because he's either you're going to use him with a multi-rifle or an HMG with MSV3 with ballistic skill 15. This guy is made to shoot. I mean, this guy is like an amazingly good shooter. You never, ever, ever want to put this guy into close combat because you're wasting so much other stuff that you're paying for.
Yep, he's going to reach out and touch someone with that gun.
So.
All right. Up next, we got the Tire Soldiers. They're great.
You beat me to it.
Oh, of course. This is Tiger Soldiers from Jujing with a boarding shotgun. Nothing like dropping in behind enemy lines with a weapon that gives you +6 and 8 inches.
Yeah, this was one where we saw the concept art quite a while ago, and it was pretty crazy because we're all like, "Oh wow, look, that's cool. He's got a tiger face painted on there, and that's really neat." But yeah, we'll see what Hanhel does with it. It'll probably be he'll have to change it up, obviously. But he did it. He actually drew a tiger face on the mask, and it looks really badass.
Yeah. No. One thing I hope that with the upcoming RPG is they kind of I hope they do a little bit of explaining of the tech behind these jump packs, because it's always interesting. I like how each army is different.
Mm-hmm.
It'd just be interesting to see how they explain the tech on these guys.
The interesting thing about the jump pack that he has there is it looks very similar to the Morat Drop Troopers pack. the ambassador or the diplomat. So if you compare his jump pack to his, you see a lot of similarity. So I wonder if this is a case of you see technology kind of bleeding over and the humans are making use of it.
Or the aliens took it from them. Looking at points wise, he's a little bit slower. He's a 4-2 on the movement, but he does have combat, jump, multi-terrain, mimetism, and he comes in at a nice 25 points.
Yeah, the great thing is you look at some of the options here for him. Obviously the boarding shotgun, which the model comes with, is your cheapest way to get him and is probably going to be your default way to take him. The Spitfire is great, but is pricey, in terms of SWC. But what I really like is the Hacker. It's a combi rifle, and you know what? A combi rifle gets it done in this game, plus a light flamethrower, so you still have that great template weapon, but you have an assault hacking device on a guy who's got whip 14.
Yeah, what I see a lot of people goof up is, one, bringing these guys in on turn 1, and then 2, bringing them in a heavily packed area. These guys are great for flanking maneuvers and taking those last minute objectives.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's especially when you have a model that's probably costing about 10% of your points, you feel like you want to bring him in quickly. But I agree. This guy is really a turn 3 kind of guy, if you're able to bring in, grab some objectives, hit those 1 or 2 guys that your opponent thought was safe, because why would you wait until turn 3 to bring something in like this? But yeah, he's definitely kind of that last minute gotcha.
Yeah,
The ace up your sleeve, if you will.
a turn 3 or turn 2 troop, definitely something to consider. All right, up next, another drop trooper. This time it's the Evil Toha. It's a Fracta.
And once again, they have a boarding shotgun.
Mm-hmm. And I believe that's the same jetpack or the jump pack as the Kodali, right?
Right. It's not exactly the same. I mean, there's a few little details that are different on kind of like the little fan tail at the bottom, but the style is the same enough that you get that it kind of came from like the same parent technology, or this might be an upgrade or kind of more of what the basic line troopers have, and Kodali has something special. So.
And this one wasn't painted by Angel. This was painted by Daff. So, but still using the same technique. But this is a great looking miniature, great looking paint job too.
It is, and everybody likes to call out whenever it's not an Angel paint job and say, "Oh, well, Daff did this one." Screw that, Daff. You did amazing. You'd be proud of this because this looks great. I can't tell the difference. If Angel painted this, I don't think it would look any better. You did an amazing job, sir.
Definitely. And then we have this is a Fractus, so this is got the Toha armor kind of thing. A mover and a shaker, one that's in its jump form. And yeah,
it's interesting that they call it jump form and then survival form. So it's got transmutation. Forgive me, I don't really know. I'm not sure how that works, but so it's a little bit different from your usual Toha, where you have a stronger profile up front, and then you have a weaker profile, afterwards once you've lost your symbiote armor. Because this guy, yeah, he does slow down, and he does lose a bit of physique, but his armor actually goes up, and so does his BTS.
yeah, I noticed that. That's interesting. That it would get a little bit better. But you know what? As like I said, these are special troops, so you want them coming in and you want them doing some heavy damage. And a nano pulsar is always nasty.
Yeah, the boarding shotgun and the nanopulsar is a little bit redundant. I mean, one targets your regular armor, the other targets your BTS. But I like it. I think it's the way to go. Especially when you consider the Spitfire on this one is expensive, and you still have the option to take him as a hacker, but at whip 12 he's not quite as impressive. So I think that this is more of a type of guy that you're going to bring in a little bit earlier on, especially if he gets better, as he starts taking a little bit of damage or as the game goes on. You're going to want him out there. You're going to want to bring him in early, surprise your opponent, and kind of make it that thorn in his side that he has to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. You'll be wasting some orders trying to kill this bad Toha.
And he just looks scary too.
And up next we have for Toha, the good Toha, the Keltar specialist with Pokemon.
Okay. All right. You want to talk about him first? Okay.
This is where we see
Oh
PC
gosh, they're still there. Do you want to start, or should I?
Well, first, the trooper profiles look pretty cool. Compared to the evil Toha, these look very nice in comparison. The symbiote bomb and the symbiote mate. I'm not quite sure what the rules are, but it's very alien compared to what we see with everything else in the game. But this is the army that has, it's very alien. Like we saw this, there's a sensor unit that has the symbiotic being that's on its hand.
Yeah, the Toha have always been a little bit different looking because they are aliens, and they do use other alien species like the Choxas. And the fluff, we've heard of a little bit more, and so we're finally getting to see some of those other aliens. And I get it that these aliens should look a little different, but oh man, they just don't fit the Infinity play style. Like I would believe that these were miniatures from like another game. Like if you would have told me, "Hey, look, here's some miniatures for Ninja Division's newest board game," I'd go, "Wow, those look great." But putting them next to Infinity miniatures, it just looks a little strange.
But I mean, it's just like the Fast Panda and the Crazy Koala.
No, I would say it's not. I mean, even like, it's like the Zoncat Titty Kitty sort of thing. They have kind of, it's an anime style, but at the same time, Infinity tends to be very trademarked. It has like a lot of armor plates and a lot of guns, a lot of armor, very futuristic styled things. This is just kind of like a weird sea creature kind of thing. Now, that being said, do the models look nice? Yes. Does the paint job look nice? Yes, it looks amazing. It's just when I look at it, it doesn't look Infinity. Whereas I look at the Fast Panda and I still kind of go, okay, it's we're playing to the anime style. It still looks like it fits in with the rest of the universe. These guys just don't fit in.
And I'm looking at the army builder. I don't even have rules for these guys yet.
Nope, we have no rules for them. We don't know what they do.
So, how much they are, what they do, we don't know. But it's all speculation at this point. But I mean, if that's the army you play, that's the army. That's a new thing that you want to get into.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting. It's funny with the Toha when they came out. All we talked about is like Toha triads. Triad this, triad that. It's all about the link teams. But what we've really been seeing lately, and I imagine we'll see it with these guys as well, are units that don't actually fit into link teams. Mm-hmm. So I know that they're fleshing out Toha, but to a certain extent, I would like to see more. I hope that we find that these guys can be put into a triad, because that's kind of what makes Toha special. And to a certain extent, I feel like as they've been expanding the range, they've slightly diluted what makes Toha awesome. But we do know that many Link teams can be really unbalancing, and it gets really difficult.
Yeah.
So we understand why they haven't done it. It's just kind of sad that they had to go that route. So there you go. What else you got for us, Alan?
That's all I have for this week. I mean, it's post salute, so everybody who did show something has shown something. Now we're waiting for the next convention.
Yeah, we've got Warhammer World. It's coming up here in a couple weeks. So we'll be really excited to see that, because hopefully Forge World will show us some more goodies that they've got in store. And there's even whispers that maybe we'll see some plastic Horus Heresy models.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that's keeping a lot of people from 30K is the high buy-in price. So if you could get a starter set in plastic from GW, they'd be all over that.
True. So it'd be interesting to see.
All right, well that's it for me tonight, Alan. I think my voice is about ready to give out.
Alrighty, we'll give Casey a break this week, but we want to know. We actually want to hear from you. Put down, please comment below. Let us know what you think. Do you like the new Toha? Or do you like any of the new Infinity stuff? Are you going to get a Knight Titan? Are you wanting to see Casey's progress as he destroys his airbrush? Put it down in the comments below. Let us know. But thank you guys for watching. Tune in next week. Like this video and share it with your friends, and subscribe to see more. Casey, anything else before your throat goes out?
That's all I've got for this evening. As always, if there's a new product or something cool you guys would like us to take a look at and maybe talk about, just shoot us an email at theatomicsalt@gmail.com.
Alrighty. Thank you guys.